Hey guys, hope you and the families are doing well. Today's date is September 30th, 2025. So the focus of today's session is going to be dialing in on where the money is flowing for that session, where could display a lot of relative strength and potentially go on big trends. So what I'm going to do is take you through a couple of group ETFs or sector ETFs as well. So we're going to look at XLE as a sector ETF for the energy sector. We're then going to go through GDX as well. I'm just going to try and help you in terms of your identification for what specific areas could have a big day based on the relative strength that they are displaying on an intraday basis. And this can feed into both intraday stuff, but also swing trading stuff as well for where you may look to target positions. So it's going to be focused on both the daily chart, but also the 5-minute charts. I'll give you a quick overview of what we're going to go through. Then I'll start going through it. It might take me kind of 15 minutes or so, and we'll start going through a bit of a bar by bar. So XLE. Okay, so I'm going to take you through XLE versus the triple Qs from the 23rd of September and highlight the intraday relative strength. And then going to take you through two oil and gas related stocks from the 23rd of September. So that's Exxon Mobil and Devon Energy, a DVN, and the intraday relative strength that they were displaying. So again, if you're looking for ORB opportunities, or if you're looking for buy stop limit order opportunities, so more in kind of the Stan Weinstein and Nicholas Darvis camp there, this is how you can decide whether or not you potentially want to let those say buy stop limit orders triggers based on, are you seeing intraday relative strength or are you seeing intraday relative weakness? I would be putting a heavy emphasis in this current market on intraday relative strength. And they're going to take you through GDX from Friday the 19th of September. So we're going to look at this bar here and again contrast it relative to the Qs, and then going to take you through GDX from today. This is live at the time we're filming this on the 30th of September. Okay, so you can see GDX today, the first 5-minute candlestick relative to the triple Qs, and again you can see GDX on Friday the 19th of September, the first 5-minute candlestick relative to the triple Q. So the same thing keeps happening. We'll just have to dial in the pattern recognition, and then going to take you through a whole heap of precious metal miners from today, because if you can identify where the algos are flowing, where the kind of smart money is going, where it's going to have a lot of intraday relative strength, it makes it a lot easier from the stock selection criteria, both from an intraday perspective, but also from a swing trading perspective as well. Okay, you want to improve the probabilities that you're going to have a winning trade where possible. So I think this is really important stuff to be focused on. And then I'll take you through Hood. Again, kind of teach you from a stock specific perspective. So you had Hood yesterday, Monday the 29th of September, textbook 5-minute RB, had it right there as it broke out on the 5-minute RB. And then today, exactly the same thing. 5-minute RB, textbook, opening, candlestick, and then we'll go through a little bit of the bar by bar stuff. So let's just start off with XLA, okay? So you could do this as well. I focus more so on groups, but you can also do it with sectors. XLE is kind of the only sector one I do because of the kind of correlation. I wouldn't necessarily do it with like financials or technology. I think you want to be a little bit more kind of granular there, but sometimes you can have areas of the market that are inversely correlated, as I have at the table, that are inversely correlated to the major indexes. So quite commonly you can see this with precious metal miners, i.e. the indexes are trending down, but certainly on a daily perspective, the indexes are potentially trading down for a session, but precious metal miners are rallying. You can also see that with oil and gas related stocks as well. So they are somewhat divorced from the correlation that you see with the major indexes on a day-to-day basis. So what I spend a great deal of my time doing and just thinking about is, where are the algos going? Where am I seeing the intraday relative strength? So this is from the 23rd of September 2025. Okay, so we're looking specifically at this daily candlestick here. I'm going to turn that off. This daily candlestick here for XLE, okay, which is then this daily candlestick here for the triple Qs. So what we can see is basically the polar opposite, right? XLE has a big day, whereas the triple Qs does not have a big day. So if you're trying to trade, let's say, Tesla, Nvidia, Broadcom, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, so on and so forth on this day here for the 23rd of September, it's likely going to be a tough day for them, right? You can just see the result here for the triple Qs, a little bit short-term extended, but a change of character. And you can see that from the first kind of 15 minutes of the session, right? So you're like, oh, there's nothing going on today, nothing going on today. Well, whether or not things are going on, much is dependent upon your skill level. How quickly and efficiently can you identify opportunities? So I don't think this is rocket science. You just have to make yourself available to what the market is telling you. And the more you can see, the more information you have, so the more that you can decide what you're going to do with that information. So take XLE here on the 23rd of September. Or what do you say? This is a textbook 5-minute opening range breakout candlestick. What does XLE do? This is the sector ETF, okay? So what does it do? Well, it opens on the low of that 5-minute candlestick, closes on the high of that 5-minute candlestick. So this can then be a day here. Potentially you've got, say, buy stop limit orders because you are looking at oil and gas related stocks, or you suddenly see the strength here. You go, right, this is where I'm going to focus today from a day trading perspective and or a swing trading perspective. You can decide. Much depends on the context and how much strength you see, then how the chart unfolds. So in the first 5 minutes, XLE, the oil and gas ETF, the way that I think about it, is telling you this could be a really strong day for oil and gas related stocks. And in the first 5 minutes, certainly then the first 15 minutes for the triple Q, it's probably telling you, and it is telling you here, this is probably not going to be a particularly good day for all the tech related stocks. Plus, it's short term extended here. Whereas XLE, you could say, so triple Q short term extended to the upside, whereas you could say here, XLE, well, potentially short-term extended to the downside, just found support in the prior session of the 50-day and the 65-day EMA. Maybe it's going to go on a little bit of a run. You kind of see how this happens, guys. Ready? It goes short-term extended to the downside, short-term extended to the upside, short-term extended to the downside. And that's just how the market wiggles and jiggles. So a lot of it is then trying to just let the market guide you by focusing on relative strength. So there's a lot of thinking involved, but there's no thinking involved, if that makes sense. You've got to be able to think about it, but really you're just trying to listen. You're trying to listen with your eyes and go, okay, where is the market telling me to focus? Again, you can use this from a day trading perspective, you can use it from a swing trading perspective, a positional perspective as well. But then you also got to understand the kind of market environment that we're in right now. It's kind of like this. Actually, the triple Qs and XLE somewhat epitomizes it of last several months. Okay, you can see big move down here, big move up here, big move down here. Take a look at triple Qs, big move up, big move down. That's just how it's moving. A lot of volatility generally on a day-to-day basis in terms of choppy trends. So the point that I'm trying to make here is this is absolutely textbook. So you may say, oh, well, were there any stocks to target on the 23rd? So now if we go take a look at ExxonMobil and also Devon Energy, both of those are oil and gas related stocks. So hopefully you are very familiar with how I trade opening range breakouts, okay, blah, blah, on and on and on about them. So ExxonMobil, so again, we're looking at the 23rd, okay, and this is going to be the opening 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour or so for the triple Qs, okay? Look at this. This is what the triple Qs look like on the 23rd. So try and stay with me here, okay? We are now looking at what we were just looking at on the prior chart, but we're going a little bit more granular, and we're looking at the triple Qs relative to two oil and gas related stocks. So this is then how you're trying to improve the probabilities you're trying to play, I think, on a day-to-day basis in the areas that could be sector-wide, it could be group-wide, it could be theme-wide, that are displaying the greatest degree of intraday relative strength. The general principle is the more intraday relative strength you see, the higher probability of a successful trade on the long side. Vice versa, if you're shorting, you'd want to see intraday relative weakness, okay? So if you take a look here, the first 5 minute candlesticks for ExxonMobil, what do you see? 5 minute RB as it reclaims its 10-day EMA. Devon Energy, what do you see? 5 minute candlestick, that's pretty textbook. Okay, a little shakeout to Martell on it, nice strong close for ExxonMobil. And then you can decide, okay, how do I then want to manage these? So we talk a lot about the 5 minute 6 EMA. So the first kind of back-to-back close below the 5 minute 6 EMA for ExxonMobil is up there. For Devon Energy, it would be up here. Now you could then also think about that move relative to the stock's 20-day ADR percentage. Okay, so if we go from the low up to here, well, when it starts closing below its 5 minute 6 EMA, ExxonMobil, it's up its 20-day ADR percentage, 1.66%. Okay, it's just one. Would have been a little bit different 5 days ago, but would be nearest damn it. Okay, if we take a look at Devon Energy, and we move this up here, when it starts closing below the 5 minute 6 EMA, it's up 3.5%. And on the session, it was up higher, it was up 4.3%, relative to the 20-day ADR percentage of 3%. The fuel is out of the fuel tank. So then you can decide, okay, how do I want to manage these? Do I want to manage these as a swing trade? No, is that just me? Is it now starting to show intraday relative strength? Fuel's out of it. That's me done on that trade. You can decide. It's up to you. Let me take you through some other examples. You may say, well, that's just fluke, isn't it? So let's then take a look at GDX. So again, we want to understand very deeply and build mental representations around when a specific sector, group, theme, stock goes on a big run for that session, what does it tend to do? I want to play where I think there's going to be a big run for the session. Okay, I don't want to be messing around with a load of laggards. I really want to focus. I want to be very specific, very focused, and very dialed in. So if you take a look here at GDX, this is the 19th, and I'm going to move this back 2 days for the triple Qs. So this is the daily chart for GDX that we're about to be going through. And this is what it looked like intraday. And then this is what it looked like intraday for the triple Qs on the 19th of September. This is then what it looked like on the daily chart. Okay. So if we take a look at GDX, well, what does GDX do that day? If we just take a range of that day, okay, I'm just going to use some round numbers. Let's call it 5%. So on the 19th of September, the daily range for GDX was 5%. Now, why does that matter? Because let's say the ADR is 2.5%. So GDX on this day was up 2 times its 20-day average daily range percentage. Well, what did it do when it went up 2 times its 20-day ADR percentage? What are the repeatable and common characteristics that you can observe? Like, what do you see that happened? That's what I'm trying to kind of hang on about, okay? Well, what do you see? What happened in the opening 5 minutes? That's going to be very important, isn't it? So what happened at the start of the session? Well, what do we see on the 19th? We see GDX opened on the low of the 5-minute candlestick, closed on the high of the 5-minute candlestick. Contrast that to what the triple Qs did. Kind of this bearish, doji, supply shoot, ugly looking candlestick. So when GDX goes up 2 times its 20-day ADR percentage on Friday the 19th of September 2025, it did this in the first 5 minutes, contrasted to the triple Qs doing that. Isn't that interesting? That GDX showed that much intraday relative strength. Well, how did it then trend intraday? Well, it kind of stays above this 5-minute 6 EMA. There's no back-to-back closes, still no back-to-back closes, still no back-to-back closes, and the back-to-back closes come up here. Well, that's interesting. That 5-minute 6 EMA to back close rule would have kept you in for the entirety of the trend. And then even when the triple Qs intraday was then rolling over like this, did GDX care? No, GDX just kept going. So imagine what a lot of the precious metal miners did on that session. Would have gone on, huge move. Get that, no problem. I will bring you in after Thomas and Ash. Yeah, they would have gone on, huge moves. So if we then take a look at GDX today, okay, so I'm trying to use recent examples to illustrate the points, okay? So we take a look at GDX today again. Oftentimes you can have inverse correlations between precious metal miners and the major indexes. So don't despair necessarily when you go, oh, the major index is just rolling out of bed, because it could be oil and gas stocks or precious metal miners having an absolute field day out there. So we are now looking here, okay? We're looking at the final day as this plays out. So this is live at the time of filming this. What do we see happens in the opening 5 minutes of the session for GDX today? It's that same type of candlestick that's showing up. Look at that candlestick. Now, it's not just, oh, that's a pretty candlestick, isn't it? It's what did it do relative to the applicable major index? What was the degree of intraday relative strength that you see? So the triple Qs does this. This is live at the time we're filming this on the 30th of September. Triple Qs does this in the first 5 minutes. Open on the high, goes out on the low, ugly bar. GDX, what does it do? Opens in the low, little shakeout to Martel, strong close. So in this instance, today, would you have been better off focusing on Nvidia, Broadcom, Tesla, Google, Microsoft, Apps, right? Or actually, you could have here focused on precious metal miners for a dart and basically made money. Ready? Here it is. These are precious metal miners today. 5-minute RB galore. So they're the 5-minute charts, okay? This is GDX on the daily chart and the 5-minute chart. Triple Q's, daily chart, 5-minute chart. What we're doing now is we're looking at precious metal miners just on their 5-minute charts today. So then this is really applicable, I think, both from a swing trading perspective as well, to help guide where do you want to be focusing. Okay, so look at the triple Qs. That's that first 5-minute candlestick we're looking at today. Look at GDX's first 5-minute candlestick. See the difference? Now here, I've just brought up a pretty random collection of precious metal miners. What do you see with all of them? If you targeted a 5-minute ORB in any single one of them, okay, you made money. And off the bat, you were under no pressure. That's a big thing. You're not under any pressure. They immediately go. You're immediately in a profit. Okay, then doors open for you. How do you then want to manage them? Do you think precious metal miners, they're going to run up another 20% in the next 2 weeks? Okay, I'll hold them as swing trades. Do you think, nah, it's just little trade, there's some volatility. Actually, I think there's going to be a rotation. Okay, hold them as day trades. It's up to you. You've got to decide that. But what I'm trying to say here is, if you can start to focus on where the algo is flowing, where's the intraday relative strength, you can then start throwing darts and it becomes a little bit more easier. So again, that's why we talk a lot about kind of trading out, whether you are focused more so intraday, whether you focus swing trading, when you focus on positional trading, and you are trying to pinpoint and get in and be under no pressure, and you're immediately in a profit. I think this stuff here is really, really helpful. I certainly find it helpful. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. Much comes down to skill level. But this here, I put a big focus on this on a daily basis. Try and focus on where are the algos, where are they going, where do I want to focus today? So this is precious metal miners live as we are currently filming it. What do you start to see right now? They're starting to roll over a little bit. So then you got to decide, okay, do I want to hold them? Do I not want to hold them? Back-to-back 5-minute 6 EMA rule. Basically added a lot of them as GDX starts rolling over as well, and you start to see more strength coming through in the triple Qs. Okay, potentially there's a rotation going on now. So maybe you want to rotate out that, go into something else, maybe tech-related stocks. Much then depends on the wider context of the market that we've gone through time and time and time again, in other words. So hopefully that there is, but let me just go through one more, okay? In terms of just textbook visual, 5-minute candlesticks for opening range breakouts, I heard the last 2 days is that just picture perfect. Okay, picture perfect. So last 2 days again, nothing new is happening. It's just about trying to train your pattern recognition and just dial in on where are you seeing the strength, where are you seeing the intraday relative strength. You could think about it from a sector perspective. I only really do that with oil and gas related stocks. I also think about it from a group and theme perspective and an individual stock basis. Okay, why do I not think about it from a sector basis? It's just too kind of broad. Oil and gas stocks, yes, because there's a lot of correlation there, but like XLF for financials, you have loads of different financials. Robinhood is very different to JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, for instance. So yeah, that's why I focus more so on groups, themes, and individual stocks. So Robinhood, this is yesterday. Okay, 5 minute ORB, absolutely textbook, opens on the low, pushes, goes. And again, why do we want to know this? Why do we want to focus on this? Because Robinhood yesterday, so I had this 5 minute ORB, went up 10.5%. That's about 2 times its 20-day ADR percentage. Okay, what does it do, Robinhood? Tendency, mental representations, repeatable characteristics, when it goes up 2 times its 20-day ADR percentage, what does it tend to look like? How does it tend to move intraday? What does the opening 5 minute candlestick look like? How does it then move thereafter? You really want to study this deeply. So here, opens on the low, goes out on the high. Triple Qs, kind of like not bad bar, little kind of supply shoot, but Robinhood here is also clearing these pre-market highs. It's the triple Qs clearing the pre-market highs in the opening 5-10 minutes. No, Robinhood is again showing intraday relative strength based on pre-market levels as well. And then if we play forward to today, exactly the same thing. Robinhood, textbook, 5 minute RB. Sometimes they then go on big trends, sometimes they don't go on big trends. But if you look at what Robinhood did here, it's very similar to then what GDX did when we were studying it here on the 19th of September, and it going up 2 times its 20-day ADR percentage. Exactly the same candlestick for GDX as exactly the same candlestick for Robinhood on the 29th of September. It's not huge, just a ticker change. Just the tickers are changing. So hopefully that was useful. I will bring in a couple of you for Thomas first. I'll bring Thomas in, and then we've got Ash, and then we've got Darren as well. Anyone got any questions as we go through? Please just ping me in the chat. So let's bring Thomas in.